All right. Over the years, Ronald DeFeo Jr. has given different versions of what happened and who was involved. You know, one of them being that the devil told me to do it, which the George and Kathy Lutz, which really should be called George and Kathy Putz, or George and Kathy Liars. They picked up on that and the book was gone. He's also said several times that his sister Dawn was involved. And I don't really know what to think about Dawn, because the whole family, the family members that were killed by a .30 caliber Marlin rifle, which is essentially a 30-30. And I talked to my cousin Brad earlier before we started taping, and I can't tell you exactly how he said it, but basically he said if you were to shoot something like that off inside a house, your ears would be ringing, everybody would hear it, the neighbors could hear it. So this kind of aids his one of his versions that said that, you know, his sister was an accomplice. Ronnie also had a very bad heroin problem, and that is documented, and he's actually admitted to having issues with heroin and drinking, and he was a troubled child. And we'll get to that a little bit later, but here's an audio interview with him and with Ronald Jr. and Dr. Stephen Hogue, Director for Forensic Psychiatry at Bellevue Hospital. So there you go. And so he kind of implicates his mother on this one, and then right after that we're going to go into a ballistics report, because he's implicating Dawn in this, saying that Dawn had gunpowder burns on her, which would suggest she discharged a weapon. Well, Detective Alfred De La Pena, a ballistics expert from the Suffolk County Police Department, who actually worked the case, kind of discredits what he's talking about. So check this out.
I wouldn't want to face the parole board, but most importantly, I wouldn't want to face myself every morning in the mirror. I wouldn't want to face myself in the mirror. I might be able to explain to myself why I killed my father. I might be able to explain to myself why I killed my mother. I might be able to explain to myself why in a struggle I killed my older sister Dawn, but how? How do I ever explain to myself or come to make myself live with the fact that I killed 3 defenseless children?
First of all, you're wrong when you're saying about defenseless, because everybody in that house was defenseless. Only one person had access to a handgun, between my mother and father. He never got a chance to get it. She did. So everybody else was defenseless. As far as I'm concerned, really everybody was defenseless. Because I got to them before they got to me.
Right.
I mean, see, I don't know if they need hearing aids or they need seeing eye dogs, because the point is, your investigator just told you there's unburned powder on the front of her nightgown, which means she had to discharge a firearm.
I have no connection whatever between the two. In the area of discharge residues, is 2 areas actually. One is what comes out of the muzzle of the weapon and goes and deposits itself on the wound area or on the clothing area. And the other is gases or particulate matter that come out of the weapon when the shot is fired and come out in a gaseous manner and deposit themselves on the hands of the shooter. And so there are 2 different areas of firearm discharge residues you're looking for. One is you're trying to say this person has been in the environment or has fired a weapon, and the other you're saying that that person was close enough to the muzzle of the gun when the discharge occurred that they received some of those particles of powder on their wound or on their clothing. In this case, in Dawn's case, it's because she was so close to the muzzle of the weapon when it was fired.
Okay, here's some more stuff pertaining to Ronald DeFeo Jr.'s claims of what actually happened that night. He also suggests that there was a third party involved in this version of the events. Said he had a buddy named Richie that helped him clean up and was a part of all this, and yada 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 yada. Check this out. And this interview was done, best I could guess, and from what I understand about it, was in the early 90s, like 93, 94, somewhere in there. Check it out.
I didn't really know what to do.
So I sat around and thought about it while Richard went around picking up the gun. He went, got a pillowcase and threw the shell casings in it. Richard is the one that did all the cleaning up. And I'll tell you something. I can honestly say I was so upset about all of this. I never even knew where Richard threw the gun. I knew where we threw the stuff in Brooklyn in the storm drain. But I never even knew where we threw the gun.
Okay, so there was an investigator that investigated this Richie guy, and his conclusions were that he couldn't have proved that the guy existed or didn't exist. So, you know, you think about this. Now, a central figure in these murders were the father, Ronald DeFeo Sr., who worked for his father-in-law's car company and car lot dealership, and Ronald Jr. also worked there too. There was actually a claim of some missing money, and Ronnie Jr. was implicated in this, and this happened just a few weeks before the murder, so there was some stuff building up there. By some accounts, he was described as a great guy, give you the shirt off his back. There's also been reports that he was very violent with the family, including Ronnie Jr. And the mother. Ronnie said, and this is Ronnie said, that there were times that he openly beat his mother in front of his friends. So there's claims that he was good, and there's claims that he's bad. Here's one of the things that Ronnie said about his father.
My father was my best friend in many, many ways, no matter what I did. And the truth of the matter is, most of the time I was always wrong. I was always in trouble. No matter what I did, he was always there for me to bail me out. We always argued. People made a lot more out of it than it really was. They said that we were always fighting. I would never fight with my father.
Okay, folks, you know, this was a really brief summary of what kind of happened there. If you really want to know a little bit more, and this is certainly a website that I kind of went to, check out AmityvilleMurders.com. There's a lot of stuff on there that maybe you can get. I mean, I couldn't do a whole episode on this. We could be talking for a long time. So I just kind of wanted to summarize some things, maybe steer you to that website. And really, as far as the haunting goes, I think the only demons that ever lived in that house were George and Kathy Lutz Putz Liars. I think they made some money off something that was really awful. I mean, you know, none of these people, none of those kids ever had a chance to have family or go on to do anything, you know. And really, next time you watch the Amityville, think about the fact that it's probably a big lie and a family was destroyed. And the Hollywood machine or whoever came in and said, there's some money to be made, so let's go with that. You know, so, and really the only person that knows what happened that night is Ronnie DeFeo Jr. And yeah, he's talking and he's saying a whole bunch of different stuff every time you get to him. So really I would suggest going to AmityvilleMurders.com to kind of get the cleanup on what I left off. Okay, folks, so we're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, Greg Bilby. Yo!